So the Illinois State Board of Elections will meet this morning to certify the ballot for the general election. So joining me to discuss what voters can expect, political science professor Stephen Caliendo with North Central College. It is so good to have you, Stephen.
Good to be
always.
with you, sure.
So we were just chit-chatting during the break, and you were saying that the ballot this year is very long. So I'm glad we're getting to this in August before November.
Yeah. So I think the plan is I'm going to be here every day. We'll talk about each race for 15 minutes at a time, and we'll just get it all through.
Honestly, I would
really
love
long.
that.
It's really long. It's really long. Well, we have all the federal races, of course. You know, we have a U.S. Senate race this year. We don't always have that because those are rotated. We have congressional races. They come every 2 years, and so we're going to have everybody's got a congressional race. But then we have a governor's race, which again it's every 4 years, so it just happens to hit on this particular year. And then we've got all the state legislature races, the state Senate races. We've got the Cook County. All the Cook County races, water reclamation district, and then you get down to the judges and all the retention of the judges. And so it's a lot. There's a lot of work if voters really want to be informed. Yeah. It's going to take some energy.
And we want them to be informed. Yes.
I do. Yes. Liz and I do. We want you to be informed.
Yeah. So we're going to help you out here. Okay. By the way, why is today the last day? So today's the last day for people to withdraw or add names.
That's right. Withdraw or add names, or in the case that there would be ballot initiatives. And I don't think that there's any coming around. But sometimes there's a whole text that changed the Illinois Constitution or the local. No, right. And so those things. This is the deadline, and then after that, the ballots get printed.
All right, let's talk on this very long ballot about which races are considered to be the most competitive.
Yeah, I think, there's going to be a lot of races on this ballot that aren't particularly competitive. Illinois is a pretty blue state. We can expect the Senate race to mostly go blue. Of course, we mostly expect that Governor Pritzker would be reelected in his race against Darren Bailey. But I think you can look at some of these congressional races might be a little bit competitive. I think when we get down to the state races, or the state district races, some of those will be. I want people to go to do your work, Ballotpedia or Vote 411. Does anybody know what 411 is anymore? That means information, right? Yeah, because Mary J. Blige, we know 411.
Oh my gosh, I love that reference.
Absolutely, right? Because but if you go to Vote 411, you put your address in and it'll show you your exact ballot. Yeah. And then you can go and do your own research to figure out because if you just rely on the intrusiveness in your feeds, remember the algorithms are generating that. And so you're not going to get a clear picture of where every candidate stands.
I'm really glad that you said that. The algorithm will feed us the things we like,
correct.
And we need to have a good, unbiased opinion.
And start early because it's a long, long ballot.
Okay, so when we talk about that, besides some of the general election, like the, someone versus someone, what are some other topics that we need to be focused on in the ballot?
I think that's all. They're mostly the judicial retention. And that's always a difficult one for folks because most of us don't have interactions with the criminal justice system or even the civil justice system, and we don't know these judges. They're nonpartisan elections in Illinois, and essentially what we're being asked to do is to retain them or not retain them. So they're not running against anybody else.
Yeah.
Right?
So how do you make that kind of choice?
We feel like, well, if something was really bad, we'd probably know about it, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
I have voted like that before, where I'm like,
Fox 32 would have told us if this was a really terrible judge or something, right? So I think the American Bar Association usually makes recommendations, and the local bar association makes recommendations on those judges. Even Googling their names on the news aspect of your feed can give you an idea about if those judges have been in the news for a particular reason. But it's really difficult to be a fully informed voter on a ballot that's this extensive.
I mean, it's hard to look in your crystal ball, but what do you think voters are really focused on as they cast those votes come November 3rd?
Honestly, I mean, as much as we can talk about local elections and how important they are, and they really are, this is an election about Donald Trump. The national media and the national press is going to be talking a lot about control of the House, control of the Senate. So our Senate seat is probably pretty reliably Democratic in those House districts as well. But across the nation, we're going to be looking at to see if the Democrats can take control over one or both houses of Congress. And so that part is going to be. Illinois has some part of that, but not a huge part.
Well, Professor Stephen Caliendo, it's not often I get to do a political segment with also a Mary J. Blige. What's the 411 tagline?
Just saying, you got to know it.
Yes, you got to know it.
You got to know it.
You love a reference. The tie-in was so good. Thank you for being here this morning. All right, 8:27 right now. Hi, Mike.
We just really need to see Stephen's shoes.
They're even better. Yeah, They're pink.
He was rocking those shoelaces and everything. Always great to have the professor in.